Welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline in the Bethel Park Studios. We're running a live show tonight. Thanks to Steve and Noah in the control room. Devin Shea couldn't make it. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. We got Chip Hayner, and we have Smoking Jim Frazier getting an early start on his hoagie and pizza. Keep eating, buddy. We'll get off of you in a second.
He's getting his tape.
Thank you for watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. And thanks for watching us on Verizon 32 in Bethel Park and everywhere else from Nemacolin to Cranberry, Wexford. We appreciate that. Our Facebook page hit a brand new high of 6,520 likes. Appreciate that, folks. It's a lot of hard work putting that Facebook page up and having you all follow us and watch us and even put that like. So appreciate that. We're going to do our show tonight. We start out with what's on your mind. And I'm going to start Smoking Jim Frazier. What's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
I think here's
you
one.
got the C, Levine.
Whoa, I grabbed the wrong
black
one.
and that green now.
Wow, it goes with your shirt.
All
Here,
right.
here's green.
Want to give a shout out to the Rookie of the Year, Steve, and my man Noah is in the control room holding it down for us. But what's on my mind actually is, I get sick and tired of these guys giving me a hard time because I'm picking McGregor to knock out Floyd Mayweather. Everybody, I think, gives too
What
much
camera do I look at?
credence to boxing. Boxing is only 4 punches. Easiest sport in the world. All you got is a jab, you got a left hook, you got an overhand right, you got an uppercut. That's all there is to boxing. And the bigger the punch, the less experience you need. Greatest fighter ever from Western Pennsylvania, Billy Conn from Pittsburgh, never fought amateurs, went right to the pros. How about Carmen Basilio? Straight to the pros. The onion farmer, they used to call him. Went from right
Great
from the
fighter.
onion, went right from the onion farms right into professional boxing. How about Big George Foreman? Dropped out of high school at 15 to start mugging people. Professional mugger, went to the youth center, come right out of the youth center with zero experience and won the Olympic gold medal by a knockout. How about Sonny Liston? Sonny Liston came right out of prison, no boxing experience, just started knocking professional boxers out. Matter of fact, Sonny Liston and McGregor has a little bit in common with Floyd Mayweather, I would say, because Sonny Liston really didn't train very hard for the first Cassius Clay fight, which we know him now as Muhammad Ali, because he seen him in the Las Vegas casino. Sonny Liston walked right up to Cassius Clay, slapped him in the face. Cassius Clay looked up, like, why you do that? He said, because you're a little bit too fresh. And he walked away and told his entourage he's scared to death. So he figured he knocked the scared kid out in the first round. It didn't happen. How about Dwight Muhammad Kwawi? Come right out of Rahway prison.
Dwight Braxton.
Dwight Braxton, there you go. And last but not least, how about Bernard Hopkins? Did about 11 years in the same jail that Rayco War Saunders was in. Both of them took up boxing in prison. But I always say McGregor is actually, in my opinion, finally, I believe he's a modern day Jack Dempsey. Jack Dempsey got his start by going into saloons and telling everybody, I can't sing, I can't dance, but I'll whoop any SOB in here. And he would take bets, and that's how he made his money before he became a professional fighter. So, to make a long story short, McGregor will knock out Floyd Mayweather, and if it has to go the distance, Floyd's going to get pounded. And that's what's on my mind.
We appreciate your contrary opinion to most people. I think you're just betting on the odds. You can't make good money betting money weather. You bet on them before and lost. You can't bet them now. You can't make any money. You got to put up 100 to make 20, I think. So it shows your good sense.
And
Thanks,
by the way, I
Smoking
hope
Jim.
you can join me and Jody. We're going to go watch the fight live over at Duke's Rib House. Yeah, so hopefully you come over
Green
with
Tree?
us. The one we used to do a show at. Green Tree.
Yeah.
come
Yeah,
on
they're
over.
Mount Lebanon and Green
Come
Tree.
on over
Mount
and crack
Lebanon.
some ribs with me.
You
Me
buying?
and Jody. Well, there'll probably be enough there. Probably be enough there.
I don't know about that.
They do have good ribs there. I will tell
they
you
got
that.
good ribs and
they have
chicken.
real
Yes,
good
they
ribs.
do. I vouch for that.
Fall
Thanks,
off-
Smoking Jim.
fall
And thanks for that invite. When is the fight?
Fall off the bone.
Saturday, September 26th.
Or you mean August?
August. Did I say September?
Yes.
August.
You don't want me ruining the month of my birth with that menorah.
September 6th, right?
Yeah, I don't want any of that menorah touching the month of September.
How can you say that about good Irish?
All right, let's move it on. Forget this McGregor talk. Just like you're trying to explain McGregor's going to be a boxer now and knock out Floyd. Okay, I get it. Smoking Jim's an NFL scout, Steeler scout, model scout of many different things. And he does announce boxing with me. He does the play-by-play. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, but we go with it. So, all right, Chip Hayner, what's on your mind?
Thank you, and good evening, everybody. What's on my mind this evening? Let's think about this. I would actually like to say that I give my congratulations to the Philadelphia Phillies. Why would I congratulate the Philadelphia Phillies? I'll tell you. The Philadelphia Phillies got it right this weekend. And they got it as right as Bart Giamatti did, as Rob Manfred did, in relationship to all of the same person. And who is this dirtbag that I may be referring to? Somebody that my dear friend Jim thinks belongs in the Baseball Hall of Fame, but will never become a member, Pete Rose. Well, I spent my weekend over on the eastern side of the state, just
Yes.
north of Philadelphia in the garden spot of Easton, PA. Drove past Larry Holmes' gym, and all of the different properties that he owns. I was at a family reunion with my wife and got to read some of the local papers. And the Philadelphia Phillies had initially planned to hold a day and and let Pete Rose join their Wall of Fame.
Wow.
Because Pete Rose was a first baseman on the very first Philadelphia Phillies team that won a world championship back in 1980.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So,
didn't know.
the Phillies had this tribute planned. Then last week, information comes to the surface of testimony that Mr. Pete Rose had made, because Pete Rose is suing somebody for defamation of character, which I find completely laughable when you think about the kind of a person that Pete Rose is. He's a degenerate, lying gambler and nothing better. But on top of that, he's also guilty of quite some other more disturbing offenses called, or what do they call that? Statutory rape. Oh, yeah. See, in depositions that he gave in court, Pete Rose admitted that in 1976, he had sex with a young lady who told him she was 16 years old, and who was only actually 14 years old at the time.
Wow.
But the problem with this whole thing is at the time Pete Rose was married with 2 children at home, and here he is having sex with junior high school girls, and he admitted to this in court. So there's documented
testimony.
evidence of him admitting to this thing. So in the interest of trying to clear his good name, which I find laughable at best, these old charges got brought back up to the surface because everybody had forgotten about them. Well, now nobody's forgotten about them, and especially the Philadelphia Phillies. And in light of the revelation of these facts, the Phillies decided that it would be in really, really bad taste for them to honor Pete Rose. So they canceled adding him to the Wall of Fame. What they did instead was they honored some of the Phillies greats who had passed away just recently. One of them being Jim Bunning, The other one being Darren Dalton, who passed away
Just recently.
just last week of cancer. So I would like to applaud the Philadelphia Phillies for standing up and taking the right stand against the dirtbag that Pete Rose is, was, and always will be. And, hopefully this will just kind of nail the coffin shut on any conversation that anybody might have that deems him worthy to be in the Hall of Fame. He is not worthy of being in the Hall of Fame. He accepted a lifetime banishment. Hey, Pete, tough luck. But that's what's on my mind.
Can I just say this, talking machine?
Oh, no way. No.
Please do, Jim.
Yeah, go ahead.
In Ohio, the legal age was 16 at the time.
But the girl was 14, and he claims she said she was 16. But, you didn't do your fact checking.
Plus,
you know?
Smoking Jim, he was married.
So
What about all your women fans out there?
The fact of the matter is, whichever way you slice it, he's married with 2 children, and he's a baseball star, and he can't do any better than going to junior high school. Picking up girls.
Your argument doesn't hold
some
water.
countries,
We're going to move on.
In some countries, it's as many as you can afford to take care of, and he could afford to take care of more than just one woman.
You're reaching now.
And I guess Ezekiel Elliott doesn't deserve to be suspended.
Well, we'll talk about that. You just hit what's on my mind, but
right.
I got to do these promotions first. I don't know, Steve, what camera am I going to be on? All right, thanks for the adjustment. All right. First, we got to thank Olive Oil's Pizzeria for the pizza and hoagie. You get hung up a little, Steve. Hope you can make it out safely.
All right, yeah, it's all focused in there.
All right, we're good. 412-831-1900. Then I got to tell you, I did double duty today. Just was at the Bethel Park Historical Society's Schoolhouse Arts and History Center. They're having a little party there. I didn't get to have one appetizer. I did 3 interviews, and I did an opening, 3 interviews, a close, and I ran back to the show.
Well, you could have done 1 appetizer per interview. I think you could have popped one in your mouth.
There wasn't time.
Mushroom caps?
There wasn't time, but I did get some interviews in. It was a great party. It looks like about 100 people there, so check it out. You can donate $1 even. A lot of great things going on there, and just good stuff. Next, the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. Poor Joey with DIPG, a form of brain cancer, took his life before his 9th birthday. Donate as little as $1 there. They got a 5K run coming up. I think it's in September. Check it out.
May I interrupt?
Yes.
And are you going to mention the Joey Fabus 5K race on September the 17th?
That's what I was just talking about.
Okay.
I didn't know the date for sure. I've seen it posted.
I've seen it posted as September 17th.
Yeah, I wasn't sure to check on that. We'll probably be doing some filming there. Then if your organization or group needs some money, we have it at BPCF. Community Foundation has $100 to $5,000. You can apply. Grab an application online at bpcf.org. Check it out, and your group can get some money. Dave Cable likes making some fun of me and having me doing interesting things. He says, Uncle Al wants you for BPTV. 412-831-3304. You could be like Noah and Steve, helping out behind the scenes in the control room with cameras and other stuff. Again, I want you. You can see my face up there for BPTV. Thank you. Now, what's on my mind is the NFL come down with a domestic abuse case that shocked the heck out of me. I just heard rumors a couple weeks ago about Ezekiel Elliott, the star running back for the Cowboys, helped them win some great games and all the good things he's doing. Well, at Ohio State, he had domestic abuse problems, and they continued to follow him afterwards. So Goodell come down with a 6-game suspension for what domestic abuse. And I've gone on the record, I'm against all kind of domestic abuse to women, children, men, animals.
The elderly.
Elderly, you name it. There's no reason to do it, no place for it. And Chip just brought it up lightly about Ezekiel Elliott, but that 6-game suspension, I hope they don't get it reduced. I hope it stays the same and this young man learns a lesson from that it's not proper to beat up on somebody, especially a woman. So kudos to the NFL.
The one thing that the NFL is doing is the NFL has it so that you don't need to be convicted of a crime to be suspended, because if we remember what happened to the Steelers quarterback, without no charges being filed. So that's what I find.
It's interesting.
It's interesting, and I find that comforting too, that they're willing to act to put a stop to this.
There is something wrong. You shouldn't be accused of that. If it's falsely accused, then it'll be dropped or they'll move on from it. But this is a pattern that he's had, and it's abusive. So they're taking care of business there. And that's what's on my mind. We're going to move forward with the show. We'll come back with Fiction and Fact from Smokin' Jim's Almanac.
Hi, Bethel Park. Remember me? My name is Jason Planitzer. I was the host of a little show here. You may have seen it. It was called The Jason Planitzer Show.
What would you say your experience at BPTV, how has that had an impact on your life?
I found my voice. I learned how to be funny. I learned how to create things. I learned how to collaborate with people here. I developed an interest in film and comedy and making videos. It stuck with me. It continued through my life. I got into working on motion pictures. I now I'll produce small videos. I'll work with producers on commercials, television projects, feature films. I scout locations on TV shows and movies, which involves me reading scripts, finding the locations that need to be shot, and collaborating with the director and production designer to find the perfect spot. It all started at BPTV for me.
Thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine, and Chip Hayner. And I want to give a shout out to my main man, Dave Cable, is in the house.
Oh.
But, I get sick and tired of all this reverse discrimination. Anytime I try to give credit to a white ball player, everybody comes down on me. I said after the Pittsburgh Steelers football game that T.J. Watt will make the Hall of Fame. Everybody came down on me when I said Huey Richardson would be a bust. Everybody came down on me when I said that Alonzo Jackson would be a bust. Everybody came down on me when I said that Jarvis Too Slow Jones would be an NFL bust. They said it's too early to tell.
What about Jermaine Stevens?
There you go. They said it's too early to tell, But I'm predicting if this guy stays healthy, he'll be the best linebacker the Pittsburgh Steelers had since Jack Lambert and Kendrell Bell. And I'm going to just go over some of the right outside linebackers that the Pittsburgh Steelers had. Greg Lloyd, outstanding. Got to go into the Pittsburgh Steelers Hall of Fame. Huey Richardson was a bust. I predicted he would be a bust when I seen him play at Florida. Even though this guy is a left outside linebacker, got to give homage to Kevin Green, outstanding player. How about Chad Brown? who could have been outstanding here with the Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers made a huge mistake, again, on a white ball player by the name of Mike Vrabel, who could have been great, end up being great for the New England Patriots. The Steelers blew it big time there, a little reverse discrimination. Kendrell Bell, who I thought could have been the greatest middle linebacker to ever play if he'd have stayed healthy. Him and Jack
High
Lambert.
ankle sprains.
That's it. Well, he had a degenerative shoulder too. But him and Jack Lambert, the only two middle linebackers in Pittsburgh Steelers history to win Rookie of the Year award. How about Joey Porter, guy that I scouted at Colorado State? Knew he'd be great. Started off his freshman year as a wide receiver, moved to safety his sophomore year, and then his last 2 years he played defensive end. Great player. How about the bus that I almost got fired because I wouldn't shut up about Alonzo Jackson? Pittsburgh Steelers thought they had a great one. I predicted he'd be a bust. Everybody said it was too early to predict. How about James Harrison? Outstanding player. Only man on the planet that could live without an income for 3 straight years. That's James Harrison. Probably was eating free lunch at the soup kitchen in Akron as he worked out like a workout warrior, although I would cut him this year. Lawrence Timmons, who was drafted at right outside linebacker. I said he never played right outside linebacker in the NFL, did very well in the middle when they moved him, when they found out he didn't play very well at right outside linebacker. Now he's struggling with the playbook in Miami. So maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers might get Lawrence Timmons back if the Dolphins cut him. Can't seem to learn that playbook out there. Jarvis Too Slow Jones, former SEC Player of the Year, former All-American. I said he'll never be able to play, and I was proven right.
It's a shame Bruce Arians didn't believe you.
The genius.
Now we go with T.J. Watt. He's already been named a starter by Joey Porter, who's coaching, who was uncoachable as a player, as a huge joke as a coach. But Joey knows talent. Wears number 90, which is a great number. 6'4", 255, 4.6 40, 37-inch vertical jump, and an awesome 21 reps at 225. T.J. Watt and Clay Matthews are probably the only white right outside linebackers in the 3-4 defense in the last 30 years in the NFL, and both of them, in my opinion, will be going to the Hall of Fame. Clay Matthews, the third, already been to 6 Pro Bowls, one more than James Harrison has been to. I would cut James Harrison and keep Watt, Dupree, Chickalow, and Arthur Moats. I would not keep 5 linebackers. I'm sorry, James. Pittsburgh Steelers linebackers, the best I've seen, J.J. Watt, again, since Lambert and Kendrell Bell. And finally, J.J. Watt is a combination of Clay Matthews and DeMarcus Ware.
J.J. Watt is.
TJ,
same thing.
Nah,
And he got a brother that's a fullback in the league.
They're brothers. They're different.
They had some good milk growing up. But T.J. Watt, combination of Clay Matthews and
Sorry to correct
DeMarcus
you.
Ware.
Sorry to correct you,
Thank
but you were on a roll. That's
Thank
the
you,
most
sir.
notes that you've ever brought to Fiction and Fact.
I did my
From
homework.
Smoking Jim's
I
Almanac.
did my homework.
And I sensed a lot of fiction with that.
People called me out on that.
As well they should. You're entertaining. And you continue that streak to this day. Thank you very much for Fiction and Fact.
Cut James Harrison because in your word, he's not a mentor, he's a tormentor.
Thank you for those words. No music today.
Well, before we go ahead and put T.J. Watt into Canton, Smoking Jim is working on the bust as we speak. Okay. But before we go ahead and hold the ceremony and give him a Hall of Fame jacket and a ring, let's see what he does when he actually plays real football. Week 1, he's going against probably the best left guard left tackle in the NFL, possibly NFL history. Joe Thomas of the Cleveland Indians. Browns. I got baseball in my mind. You know, I
gotta correct
But
it.
yes, we will see how he fares against a 10-time All-Pro left tackle. And hey, if he put up numbers like he did the other night, I'll tip my hat and I'll tell you, Jim, you got it right again. Okay? But until then. But to touch off my trivia for this week, I am going to make an attempt to try to settle once and for all what really happened with the called shot. Okay? And
Teach
if
Smoking Jim
anybody
about
in
this.
baseball history knows what that is, give that some thought. We'll get back to that one, okay? But 1970, Philadelphia's Jim Bunning. I mentioned him earlier.
Yes.
Phillies honored him this past weekend because he was somebody worth honoring.
What a surprise.
Philadelphia's Jim Bunning beat the Houston Astros 6-5 to become the first pitcher to win 100 games in both leagues since Cy Young.
Wow.
See that? That one makes you
Wow.
takes you back a little bit of time.
Even Smoking Jim's amazed.
Even Smoking Jim's away. Now let's not forget that on August the 9th, 1976. Does anybody remember what happened right here at Three Rivers Stadium?
Bicentennial?
John the Candyman Candelaria became the first Pirate pitcher in 69 years to throw a no-hitter in Pittsburgh by blanking the Dodgers 2-0. Candelaria's no-hitter came at Three Rivers Stadium. No Pirate ever threw a no-hitter at Forbes Field.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay? August the 9th, 1981. Baseball returned following the strike with the All-Star game in Cleveland before a crowd of 72,086.
Wow.
This 1981, Gary Carter of the Montreal Expos hit 2 home runs to give the National League a 5-4 triumph over the American League. Vida Blue became the first pitcher to win an All-Star game in both leagues. His American League victory came in 1971 in Detroit. And the significance of that game was Reggie Jackson hit a home run off the Pirates' Doc Ellis that still hasn't landed.
Yeah, very true. Mr. September hit one in July.
And if you remember last week of my trivia, we talked about the first night game played at Wrigley Field by the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah.
And how it got postponed
By
due to
rain.
weather.
Yeah.
So that was on August the 8th of 1988. Well, August the 9th, the Chicago Cubs won the first official night game at Wrigley Field by beating the New York Mets 6-4. Just thought I'd throw that one in there. And last but not least on this portion of my trivia, August the 9th, 1998, Dennis Martinez became the winningest Latin pitcher in baseball history,
What is that?
breaking Juan Marichal's record of 243 victories. Martinez pitched a perfect 8th inning and got the victory when Chipper Jones hit a tie-breaking 2-run single in the 9th, and the Atlanta Braves held on for the win. Dennis Martinez was quite an amazing pitcher. He came from, I believe it was Nicaragua.
I think.
I think he was Nicaraguan. Yes.
You're either black or white.
He was Latin American. Okay?
We'll take him.
So I don't want to disparage anybody or where they're from. I give them all credit. So getting back to the other thing I was talking about, I pulled up something here on my phone. And just to give you, in the 1933...
What about this call?
In the 1933 World Series, Babe Ruth was claimed to have been the person who had called his shot before he got bat.
Yes, sir.
In case you didn't know, the pitcher for Chicago at that time, for the Chicago Cubs, was Charlie Root. Had the misfortune of throwing the Babe Ruth hit into center field bleacher in what became known as the called shot. Charlie Root was quite an accomplished pitcher, and he did have some great accomplishments in his career. And if you give me just a minute to scroll down here, although he is mainly remembered for being at the wrong end of a legend, Charlie Root was actually an accomplished pitcher. He had a 17-year career in the major leagues, beginning with the St. Louis Browns in 1923, and then with the Cubs from 1927 to 1941. Over his career, Root posted a 201 and 160 career one-loss record with a 3.59 ERA, 177 complete games, 1,459 strikeouts, and 21 shutouts. In his long Cubs career, Root set records for wins, games, innings, and seasons that still stand. In 1927, he had his best year. So he was a very well accomplished pitcher. My point being made. The 1932 called shot, what really happened? Only one reporter, Joe Williams, mentioned the called shot in contemporary accounts of the game. Ruth did not claim it for several days. But by 1933, helped by the New York media, the story had taken on a life of its own and became part of the Babe's standard repertoire. To friends in later years, he often played coy, saying when asked about it, "It's in the papers, ain't it?" And, newsreel footage exists of the home run, including Ruth's gestures just prior to the famous pitch. Since the cameras were shut off between the other pitches, nothing else exists of the famous at-bat, including whatever banter occurred between Root, and the Cubs in the dugout. In recent years, 2 home movies of the sequence surfaced, both clearly showing several gestures by Ruth. Although they are taken at different angles, most observers see the direction of the gestures as towards the Cubs' dugout, not the center field bleachers.
There was a lot of trash talking that went on, and people trying to instigate other players.
Really?
Oh yeah, they were swearing at people and trying to take them off the game, distract them.
One of the things that Charlie Root said is that if Babe Ruth had been entertaining those shenanigans, he would have put him on his hind end with the very first pitch he threw. Because back in those days,
most pitchers would.
Yes, the pitchers were headhunters, and if you got a little bit too comfortable in the batter's box, you got knocked down, and there was no repercussions for anybody because that's the way baseball was played back then.
Couldn't do that to the Babe. He was bigger than baseball.
You know what?
He's
just
Bob
a man.
Bob Gibson threw a ball and hurt Clemente. He was out a month.
Clemente ain't Babe.
Clemente come back against Gibson, hit one off his knee, and Bob Gibson was off for 2 months. You don't mess with Roberto. If you need a little history. Smoking.
That's pretty good.
I could give it to you.
Here's the quote by Charlie Root. He said, "If Ruth had pointed to the stands, he would have gone down on his backside. No one facing me would have gotten away with that." So
I believe
there,
it.
there you go. Baseball was played differently than it is, but let's not forget when anybody mentions the called shot, who was the man who was on the mound? Charlie Root, the Chicago Cubs. There's your trivia for this week.
Okay.
Nice. There's the truth.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Home
37.
No, his last 3 home runs were hit at Forbes Field. Okay, and I believe that might have been
35.
34 or 35.
No, 35 it was.
35 because
Then he left and he got out of baseball.
Phil Coyne, who was an usher at PNC Park, saw
They're
Babe
still
Ruth
discussing.
hit that last 3 home runs.
We'll get to me in a sec.
There's an usher that works at PNC Park that was working the day Babe Ruth hit his last 3 home runs at Forbes Field, and he's still an usher. He's been ushering for Pirates for 82 years.
The reason I brought that up, and I don't want to hold up.
You
to
just
the
ran
chin.
over on mine.
I'm sorry about that, but the reason
You got
I brought
Steve
that up
coming in here.
was how did they afford to pay these baseball players during the Depression? That's why I was wondering.
Because the owners made money.
Even during the Depression?
So if they charge a nickel or 50 cents, they still brought thousands of people in.
Wow, it's amazing.
Okay.
And they got money off refreshments.
Yeah.
People would wear their suits and buy drinks and food.
People still came out to watch baseball games, Jim.
It was #1 back then.
Well,
About
yeah.
number 12 now, but
I'm telling you what, it's a strong number 2.
oh my goodness.
It's a strong number 2.
It ain't.
Blows away the ratings for the NBA and the NHL. The only thing that draws them in ratings is the NFL. You know,
I didn't know that.
you know, unless you want to.
I'm glad you guys can walk on my time
My
on
fault,
location.
Machine, my fault.
They're always interrupting Smoking Jim. Go work on your bust of TJ Watt, not JJ Watt.
Same thing.
Yeah, I get.
Again, he doesn't see a difference in white ball players. It's shocking. He said they all look the same. See how he's laughing? He's laughing at the truth. On location, we were at Olive Oil's Pizzeria, 930 Brookline Boulevard. It was great to be there. Frank Funero, the owner, great host. $5 hoagies, strombolis, pizza. They had people coming in all night long. Great crowd. They had our man Vince Ornato doing caricatures. They were amazed at the talent Vince has. That's my man and best friend there. He was doing caricatures. He did one of Frank. They put it right up on the wall. Looked perfectly, just like the owner.
Yes, sir.
And he did many others. Smoking Jim Frazier was on fire. Did a usual great stuff that he does with his opening. I don't know how he memorized all that stuff. It was good stuff. He was all about the women, so I don't know who he was with this past week. Usually it's somebody pretty sharp, and he's helping them out. That's how he is. But we had Wendy Bell, TV legend Wendy Bell, talking about PositivelyWendyBell.com. It has 96,000 people following her. Wow. So she's doing stuff for $3.99 a month, putting out great positive things. She'd like to do that all over the country. And she gets to have curly hair. So she brought 3 of her sons. She has 5 of them. We brought them on TV. So they got to make their starring edition on Pittsburgh Sportsline.
Gateway Gators.
No, they're going to go to Central Catholic. They already signed the deal, even though they're underage. They ignored Smoking Jim Frazier. He kept trying because he's persistent. And then we had paraplegic hand cyclist Attila Domos. And his story is going November 3rd and 4th out in California for a 24-hour bike run that he set a world record here in Pittsburgh, 470.7 miles in 24 hours. He actually come out with a CD. He got an online album, 407.7. So he come out with that. He got a lot of great stuff going on. Chris Riskus, boxing referee, star of Southpaw, come in, had a little conversation. Frank, the owner, we had him talk a little bit. And Vince Ornato closed out our show with what he was doing with caricatures. So great night. At the end of the night, the owner said, could you guys come back September 11th? So we'll be back there September 11th on Brookline Boulevard. He was happy with the people that showed up and all the things that we did out there and filmed the show. He really enjoyed it. So we'll be back there September 11th. And Hollywood Lanes, we got bad news. They got their liquor license. They went from an A3 to an A2. They have code violations with exits and electrical issues and things like that they're trying to work on, but they're shut down, so we won't be back there in September. And that's what I have. So see us at Olive Oil's Pizzeria, September 11th.
If I may interject.
Yes.
And look for last night's show to be released because Wendy Bell leaves Al Levine speechless.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
And I didn't think that was possible.
She stunned me. She's a true professional. She asked me a question, who would I want to interview in the future? Well, me, I just look for the next person like you guys on the street, football players, basketball players, students from 5 years old to 90 years old. That's who I look for. To me, I don't worry about the big stars. And she was trying to prompt me on it, and I said Thomas Jefferson, but he's dead, so she couldn't do that. Then after I was done, she said, I was going to try to get them on your show. whoever you would say. So I missed an opportunity.
Should have said Pope
But
Francis.
she had me speechless. Wendy Bell had the talking machine speechless. It'll be a classic during her interview. So stay tuned for that. It'll be up on Wednesday.
Next show is 9/11, huh?
Yeah, you can stay home. And that's it, folks. We're going to go to our next segment, and we'll talk about some pirates.
I've shown an interest in making home movies. Me and some buddies would just grab a camera and you just start making these videos, and then you realize at some point that this isn't just a hobby anymore. It's something that you actually want to pursue, and there's this great facility right down the road, BPTV. A lot of people will try to do these productions on their own, and one of the things they don't have is the equipment, you know, but right here is everything she needs in one nice little bundle. There's lights, cameras, reflectors, dollies, all kinds of little knickknacks, like anything that you'd want to use that you would need for a production, you have it right here. Like, it's all right here. You can make your own feature movie just with the stuff from this studio. Come meet Dave Cable, let him show you around, and I think you'll realize that this is something that you could fall into regardless of your level of expertise, whether you're a beginner or even if you're a more advanced learner. There's something here for everyone, and I feel that you just need to come through and just be a part of the experience and just watch and learn, and, you know, let Dave be your guide. BPTV. Come volunteer. If it wasn't fun, I wouldn't be here.
BPTV. Come on in, make a show. It's still fun after all these years.
Welcome back. Chief, I hope you enjoyed your dessert. I know you're watching our show and you're hanging on every word that Chip has to say. And even Smoking Jim and myself.
So we're going to talk about the Pirates, and right now,
Bucco's got a 2-game series coming up
as we sit here right now, 58-60, and this
Ain't
Pirates. You know, if you consider all the things that have gone wrong this year, and the fact that the Pirates are 58-60 and only 4 games out of first place is, in my humble opinion, nothing short of a miracle. You know, and it seems like every time we get ready to take, we take 3 steps forward and we take 4 back. And just as we get to 500, Gregory Polanco re-injures the same hamstring now for the 3rd time this year. He's on the disabled list. I don't know if we'll see him again this year. Seems to be some kind of problem with keeping that young man healthy. And even when he is healthy, he has been quite a bit of a disappointment. You know, when he came up, there's all this hoopla. He's the next great thing. And, I don't know if maybe our expectations were too high, or maybe they just, he was a little bit overrated. Could be a little from column A, a little from column B.
Too bad Smoking Jim doesn't follow baseball like football, because we would have found out Polanco would be a bust.
Well, I wouldn't call him a bust. I would call him a disappointment at this point.
I was using his drama stuff.
I would also consider the play of Starling Marte as nothing short of a disappointment. He doesn't have any home runs since he came back off his PED suspension. He's batting below 250. And, we still get the same Starling Marte that we saw before he got popped. And I thought maybe a wake-up call like a 80-game suspension. But it seems like he daydreams from time to time.
He loses his focus where he's standing out there
Well,
not paying attention.
And it would be okay if you were in the dugout between innings, but he does it when he's in the field.
And on base.
The best player on the team is the player that they tried for a year and a half to give away to anybody, and there were no takers. And now, the question remains, what are we going to do with Andrew McCutchen next year? And then, we do have an option for him, and sure, so we can get him for next year at cheap rates, $14.5 million, and the team will still have him. I personally think that what they ought to do is they ought to extend him. I would extend him 3 years, not more than 4. Just turned 30 years old. I wouldn't extend him past his 34th birthday simply because the skills, as a general rule, deteriorate as they get older. But that all being said, here we are. August the 15th.
Yes.
And, the Pirates are still not out of it yet because the team that everybody said was the odds-on favorite to run away with our division just seems to keep on tripping over their own 2 feet. They don't have the pitching staff that they had last year, not getting the performance out of their stars like they got last year. And, what's going to happen is if the Cubs keep on screwing around, there's a couple of teams that might just come right in and steal this division from them. Now, one of them will be here for a 4-game set starting on Thursday. We've got 2 games tonight in Milwaukee, a 4-game set home against the Cardinals, and a 4-game set following that with the best team in baseball, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, here's the odd thing. The Pirates can't seem to buy a win from a sub-500 team.
Right.
But when they play the teams with
winning records,
we do considerably better. So, when we have 13 games in a row against bottom dwellers and we win 5 of them and you scratch your head, you say, how can this be? I'm looking for the Pirates to, maybe win 4 out of the, maybe 5 to 6 out of the 8.
Wow.
Against a couple of the, because here's the thing. With the exception of the 4 games against the Dodgers, every other game the Pirates play from now to the end of the season is against a division opponent. So, you know what? If the Pirates do not end up winning the division, they've got nobody to blame but themselves. They're in a position to do what everybody wanted to do. Now, what they have to do is they have to focus. The injury bug has bitten the Pirates hard. Gregory Polanco's down. Francisco Cervelli's down. I like the fact that they put Polanco on the DL today and they brought back Elias Diaz. Yeah. I think Diaz is actually the catcher of the future for the Pirates. I think he's a better catcher than Cervelli.
Cervelli's hurt again.
Yes, he's got an injured hand, and they're going to give him a couple, 3 days to try to see if maybe they don't have to put him on the disabled list.
Yeah.
But if he can't help the team, they need to put a warm body on the bench that can, because he can't swing the bat, he can't use his glove hand. And Elias Diaz, in the short time that he's been up here, he's played well.
He has some skills.
Defensively. He's got a better arm than Cervelli, and he's got some pop in his bat. So, you know what? I think it's his time. And, generally, professional sports, sometimes guys get their chances because somebody else gets hurt. We can always remember Wally Pipp, right?
Yeah.
Wally Pipp.
Even Smoking Jim knows
sat
about
down
Wally
for
Pipp.
one game, and a certain Lou Gehrig
come in.
didn't take himself out of the lineup for 2,400 games.
Wow.
So, that's that's just the nature of the way professional sports are. But
yeah,
and instead of worrying about who's hurt, now the positive note, the Pirates' young pitching staff has been performing way above expectations. Jim, I'm telling you what, look at the statistics.
58-60.
Look at the statistics for the Pirates pitching staff and where their rank is in the National League, and then laugh.
Well, let me ask you this question. Is it true that the Dodgers at one time was 43-7?
No, no. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. The Dodgers have been absolutely on fire. Now they started out the year rather slow, and then once they caught
On fire.
They caught on fire. They've been smoking through.
They said
just
that
about
hasn't
everybody.
been done in Major League Baseball since the Titanic sank. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, what the
Whatever
Dodgers
year
are doing
that
this year
was.
is absolutely amazing. There's no question about it. And you look at now. Here's one team with a 200+ million payroll, and look what they're doing in the win and loss column. Then you look at the Detroit Tigers. They're another team with a $200 million payroll, who haven't made the playoffs in 3 years and don't have and they're
And they
10,
may
they're
trade
10 or 12.
Verlander.
They're 10 or 12 games under 500.
They might trade Verlander, their best pitcher.
That movie
You know
Detroit,
that.
is that about the Tigers? It's just
No.
Okay.
But so there's still a lot of baseball left to play, and the season sure isn't over. And the Pirates do have the horses to play competitively against any team.
They've
in the league.
shown that they can win and go on a streak,
But
but they show that they're a 500 team and give it all back the next week.
Can they go wild card?
And I
Yeah,
the
they
chances
could be your wild card,
the
man.
chances are better
No,
than
they can't
likely.
qualify for a wild
The
card.
only chance that they'll have to make the playoffs this year will be as if they win the division.
Yeah.
Because the wild card teams have like a 6 or 7 or
Yeah,
maybe
they have
even
better
8-game
records.
lead over the Pirates. So I don't think the wild card would be an option. But
How many games are left?
35 or something.
well, 50 and 58 and 60. That's 138. That's 42, 44 games, something like that. But, here's the one thing about the Pirates this year, and I think this will just wrap it up. The one thing that the Pirates have done consistently this year is be inconsistent. And if they could get a little bit more consistency, and when the pitching's on, there's no offense, and when there's offense, there's no pitching. So, they just got to strap it up, play them one game at a time, and then what they have to realize is there has to be a sense of urgency at this point. Every game counts, and they've got an opportunity to win a game. They need to do everything they can to nail down the W.
They had Gunn, they would be.
What? If
They
they
had
had Gung, well, Gung
He's
drank
not gonna be
himself.
back.
He drank himself out of the major leagues.
Everybody in baseball drinks.
You know what? It's okay if everybody in baseball drinks, but if you get busted for 3 times for driving under the influence, that's pretty stupid, and you got nobody to blame but yourself.
He probably tried to get a driver, but he didn't talk English.
If you saw the way that he was driving his BMW, did you see the video of that?
Yeah.
He didn't try to get
They all drive like that.
He was
Green.
driving
they
driving like
don't.
they were bumper cars.
No, they don't. Smoking Jim, you're barking up the wrong tree this time.
So,
You don't even care about Kong in
I
baseball.
do. I care. I was pulling for him. First Korean ever,
yeah.
right?
And oh, by the way, I heard a report of a because you told me that well, we've got the easiest sport now is boxing, and the easiest
Yeah.
position in baseball is first base, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And somebody I heard talking on the radio the other day had gone to a minor league baseball game. And
Who'd they see?
And they saw Pedro Alvarez, and guess what he did? He struck out 3 times.
Wow. But Tebow's hitting home runs.
Tebow's never going to see the major leagues.
Why not?
The only way Tebow will see the major leagues is if the Mets need to put fannies in the seat.
They
He
do.
will bring people in to see him,
They
but he's
do.
not a ball player.
How
You don't
can
develop
say
baseball
that?
skills after the age of 30,
That's what
Jim.
you're saying
It
about
doesn't. The only
boxing,
person
too.
that got better after they were 30 was steroid boy Bonds.
All right, let's talk some Steelers. We got the NFL scout here making a bust at T.J. Watts. Did you watch the game at all?
You know what? I really did. I enjoyed watching the game. I even recorded the game, and I tell you what, I was very impressed. I thought that Juju looked like he's going to be a good receiver if he stay healthy.
I heard he's sort of like a Hines Ward.
I heard he got himself concussed.
Yeah, he sure did. No, he's more talented than Hines Ward.
Well, as a receiver, he can block
Well,
a little
no,
bit.
oh,
catch the
oh,
ball.
blocks. a little bit.
Apparently, he's a football player. He's not a diva.
Okay, well, he's a football player.
And now
Hines
he's
Ward was
concussed.
a great all-around football player. Just wasn't a great receiver. Well, we had I thought I was impressed with the quarterback.
But that's a
Very-
question I wanted to ask you
very
because
smart.
I saw I saw Josh Dobbs. Is that his name?
Yes.
Josh Dobbs.
Joshua.
He had a little bit of a rocky start, but I did see that touchdown pass he threw at the end of the first half.
He threw another
Dropped
one
that
that was
one.
called back. too.
Dropped it in real nice.
Yeah.
But and I would bow to your knowledge of scouting and everything. What did you think of his performance as a third string quarterback for the Steelers? I mean, granted, it's his first time in the big show, and he wasn't playing against first stringers. But what did you think?
Well, the one thing I liked about him coming out is you can't teach size. 6'5", guy with really good weight and a nice strong arm, and academic All-American. I mean, this
He's
guy,
like a rocket scientist.
He's a rocket science. He can do all 48. He got all 48 pies memorized, whatever that is, and but what I like most about him for a young guy is he ran for 800 yards last year for Tennessee, so he's a good athlete, good all-around athlete.
No, he played at
so-
the University of Tennessee.
Tennessee. And matter of fact, it was funny that the kid that started for Pitt last year, Peterman was the starting quarterback at Tennessee, and Dobbs beat him out. That's why Peterson transferred. One of the
Peterman,
reasons
yeah.
why he transferred, and so it's pretty good there. But I was just thrilled. You know what I mean? When I see players, the first time I seen Ray Lewis, I said, greatest football player I've ever seen. And when I seen T.J. Watt, I was real impressed. I knew he was a great football player. Wasn't sure if he could play right outside linebacker in this league. And I tell you what, this guy has no wasted motion. That's what made Nick Bonaconte and Jack Lambert great.
Wow, you're going back in history.
Is their mind and their feet sync up together. And if you watch T.J. Watt, I mean, he explodes. There's no wasted motion. Most guys take a false step backwards before they go forward. He comes out of there like a sprinter. And this guy is, and he talks it. You can see it in his eyes. He says, I don't turn down any reps. You know, I mean,
Well,
he
he
was out there
keeps
the whole
saying
game.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, I
he keeps
love
saying
it. I love this kid. And I think that we have, really, in my opinion, we have a guy that can take the Pittsburgh Steelers to a championship. This is the best linebacker I've seen since Jack Lambert and Kendrell Bell in the Steelers uniform.
Question for you now: has your opinion changed of him from when you evaluated him for the draft, as compared to what you saw on the field
1 minute
Friday night?
Well, the one thing, and I'll try to wrap it up real quick. The one thing, he played for Wisconsin, only started 1 year. He was an offensive player, so they moved him around because he was just a disruptive force. You know, you want your best players to be in the middle in college. He was playing a lot left outside linebacker because teams run to the right-hand side a lot. So he didn't play that much on the right, and he only started 1 year at linebacker. So it was hard to evaluate how he would do at right outside linebacker because you need so much explosion. But once I seen him play right outside linebacker in the NFL, I already said maybe DeMarcus Ware, Clay Matthews combination. That's
Well,
all
I got to tell you, we only got about 25 seconds
Hall of
left.
Fame.
Now, Jim, I hope you're right. Alan,
Nice
wrap
show.
her up. Yep.
We'll get it wrapped up here. We always end the show. Thanks for watching. Of course, we appreciate all of you that stay Joey strong.